But think about it. You have paid for that house and it is your house. In the United States, you will be living in a house for 30 years that is not yours. You might pay for 20 years, you might miss a payment, and guess who is going to be at your door? And not for tea or cookies. They are coming for your house. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Akusika. Here on my channel, we do cooking, which I love because I love to eat. I do a bit of educational content, and I also do interviews, which I absolutely love. In this particular video, we are going to focus on moving back to Africa, specifically Ghana. In one of my last videos, I shared a map that I am going to take to move back to Ghana. In that video, I shared 5 things that I was going to focus on to help my move be a lot easier. That video got a bit of traction, so I wanted to do a part 2 of that video, specifically focusing on whether I would rent, build, or buy when I get to Ghana. So before we get into this video, just a big disclaimer. I am not an expert. I am just giving my opinions based on the experiences that I've had so far. And on that note, let's get started. Number 1, renting. I don't think I'm personally going to rent. And the reason being, renting is really, in my opinion, for individuals who haven't had enough time to plan their move back to Ghana or any other African country that we're looking at this point, right? And so they have a short-term period to plan their move, or they want to be able to go to Ghana, be able to scout land, location, have time to really make an informed decision. You may not necessarily have enough time to build or buy, and so you make that decision to move back, do a bit of short-term rental, give yourself some time to, find builders, contractors that are going to help you put up your house, or give you enough time to find a real estate agent who is going to help you buy a house. That, in my opinion, is when somebody would want to rent. However, there is a bit of downside to renting, right? In Ghana, landlords are taking sometimes a year or 2 years of payments upfront. And that can be really pricey if you are not, an individual who has all that money on hand. And so just have that at the back of your mind that if you go renting, you might have to put a lot of money down upfront. In the case where you want to do a short-term rental, you can come up with some kind of agreement with the landlord. Does it happen often? Not really. Is it possible? Of course. It all depends on how much money you have on hand, but just have that at the back of your mind that you will be required to put some money down, and sometimes it can get really pricey, and that's where people might, back out and say, listen, I could use this money to build or buy. So it really is up to you. I personally will not rent because I want to be able to use that money to put down towards building a house. So it really, really boils down to what do you want and what do you need for your family. If you go back to the roadmap I had shared, because I have given myself enough time to make a decision or enough time to move back home, rental is just not an option for me because I have time to either build or buy. And on that note, let's move on to number 2, building. You know what they say about you only do better when you know better? Well, that is the case with me. In the past, when I would hear people selling their homes for $250,000, $350,000 in Ghana, I would think, that is just greed, right? Well, that is what I thought until I had the opportunity to acquire land and the opportunity to start building. and planning on how to finish and furnish the house. That is when I guess that is when the bell went off for me, right? That wow, each time I'm in the store, either doing some research on prices or, buying items with my husband, I would think to myself, this is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And listen, I am not speaking for sellers who are just building just anything and selling them for a ridiculous amount. I am talking about individuals, builders who are putting an effort into those houses. They are using the best materials out there. They are shipping everything from the US across the world to Ghana to furnish these homes. I get it. I think it took me a while to get it, but I get it. So would I build? Absolutely. I would build a house. And the reason why I would build my house, one, I know the kind of materials that are being used to build the house, right? I am finishing that house. I am furnishing the house. I know exactly what is going in. But is it easy to build a house? Not so much. Building a house is not just the cost of the materials, and that's what I used to think. Oh, I'm going to buy 100 bags of cement, buy some sand, some gravel, some water, hire a couple of people, and boom, we have a house. No, there is a lot that goes into building. Let's go down the list. Number one, the cost of the land. Number two, the cost of the materials. Number three, the cost of securing builders, contractors, architects, you name it. Number four, the cost of finishing the house, furnishing the house. And if you are like me, you are probably going to plan on shipping everything to Ghana. Why? Because I know for sure it's quality, right? I don't want to go out there, spend a lot of money and find out I have bought items that will not even last me past 2 years. So now let's come back. Let's take each of these items. You have to acquire land, right? So it requires you to be able to go scouting for land. Now, it's not just scouting for the land, it is who you buy the land from. So you have to face this issue of, am I buying land that actually belongs to the person who is selling the land to me? You don't want the case where you buy land and 2-3 years from now, you are happily building on this land and somebody else shows up and says, wait a minute, I also have documentation that states that this land belongs to me. Oof. Can you imagine? But that is reality. I have had a lot of people who have bought land and lost it, right? And so you want to make sure that you are buying from a reputable company, a company that actually is known for being genuine. And that is hard to come by, right? It is really hard to come by. Now, when you do get the land, you also have to be able to go to the Lands Commission. So when you go to Lands Commission, the goal is to verify that the individual that sold the land to you is actually the owner of the land. Now, in the US, this could be an in and out errand. That is not the case in Ghana. You can spend up to a year, 2 years verifying this information. And I am not kidding you, and registering your land. That is what makes the whole process of buying and building a bit tricky. Cost of materials. The cost of materials in Ghana changes every day, and I'm not even kidding. You deal with your builder today and they tell you cement is 37.5 Ghana cedis, and the next day it is 38 Ghana cedis or 38.5 Ghana cedis. Prices change very quickly. And that is one thing that can make building a house really pricey. And that is why now I understand this. That is why sellers in Ghana would list their homes in dollars, right? Because of the cost of inflation. Because if they listed in Ghana cedis, right, if they were to sell it a year from now, they would probably lose out because of inflation. However, if they quote it in dollars, they are not losing out as much. Ding, 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 ding. That makes sense now. That makes a lot of sense. Also, it is really hard finding honest people in Ghana, right? That's just the reality. Everybody is money hungry. And so it is hard to find people who are genuine and will tell you that, you know, we need 100 bags of cement to do this, and will actually use 100 bags of cement to do exactly what they quoted you for. There are people who will quote you 100 and use 20, and God knows where the other 80 goes. It is just really hard finding builders, coordinating contractors, finding architects. It's a process. And so I can totally understand where somebody will say, listen, forget all of this. I am just going to go in and buy, because they just don't have the patience. They don't have the connections. They don't know anybody to help them with that process. We also talked about, you know, buying items and shipping it from the US or other countries in the worst, okay? So if you are like me, you're probably going to ship items that you use to furnish your house. Now, let's talk about that part, right? We're not just talking about buying the items. We're talking about the time that was spent to go research the prices of these items, the time that was spent to go out and actually pick these items, the time that was spent to get all these items to the shipper, the money that is spent to ship these items, the money spent to clear these items when they get to Ghana, and the money spent to get these items to the house that you have built. That is what you have to think about when you decide to build, right? And that is why, for me, I have personally gained respect for individuals who build and do an amazing job at building, meaning they are using the best quality materials out there. Their finishing is impeccable, and the furnishing of the house is just mind-blowing. I have respect for individuals like that. They also have to factor in the cost of their tickets going back and forth to Ghana to check on this house. I mean, ultimately, when somebody lists their home, they have basically factored in all of this cost associated to building the house. It is not just the cost of the material. It is everything we've talked about and then some, right? You have the cost of their tickets to go back and forth to check on the house in Ghana in the case they live outside of Ghana. You have the cost of then shipping all these items to Ghana, clearing it, storing it in the case where the house is not done, staging the house. There are some sellers who will sell all these items with the house, and if they do sell the items with the house, then it's also an additional upcharge. Number 3, buying a house. I think an individual who does not want any hassle related to building is one who is going to go in for buying. After everything that I have mentioned with building a house, I absolutely understand where somebody will decide to buy a house, because they just don't want to go through the hassle of building. They don't have the patience for it. There is no amount of level of stress that they can handle. They have the money, they've saved. They are in touch with individuals that are building homes, and they trust the home that they're buying. Now, all I can say is go for it, go for it, go for it. You will never waste money buying a home that is beautifully built and furnished in Ghana versus spending that money here in the US. And yeah. Now, I would request that when you go in to buy, make sure you're dealing with a reputable company, right? You want a real estate agent who knows what they're doing, who personally knows or has an idea who the builders of this house was, just so you are secured that when you buy this house, you're not going to have as many problems. Also, another reason why somebody would buy a house is because they are not physically located in Ghana, right? If you are like me, who lives out in the US and is looking to move back to Ghana, and you don't really have any ties in Ghana, you might be better off buying, right? Because and I've already listed all these items. You don't have the time to go out and scout the land. You don't have the time to go out and secure a land. You don't have the time to deal with lands commission. You just don't have the time for that. If you have money to buy, definitely do your research. Make sure that the cost that you are incurring is, worth it, and definitely secure that house. I would absolutely sign off on that. Why? Somebody might easily say, well, in the US, you have a mortgage system, you can get a house, and all you do is pay $1,000, $1,500 for that house over a period of 30 years. In Ghana, a buyer is requiring you to put that money down in 4 or 5 months, right? But think about it. You have paid for that house and it is your house. In the United States, you will be living in a house for 30 years that is not yours. You might pay for 20 years, you might miss a payment, and guess who is going to be at your door? And not for tea or cookies, they are coming for your house. And so would you rather pay that money upfront and know that you have a secured home? Nobody's going to come after you for a ridiculous amount of taxes. Nobody's going to come after you for you name what. The decision really lies in your hands. The other thing I would say is when you acquire a house in the West, you are paying this house over a period of 30 years or 15 years, whatever you choose to do. The average American is paying their house over 30 years. Now think about the amount of interest you pay in that home. That could buy you 2 houses or a really nice big 5-bedroom house in Ghana. Yeah. So you think about it. The decision really is yours, but at the end of the day, do the math and make sure the math makes sense to you. And another thing I want to point out is houses in the US, boy, they are filled with wood. Now, when you light a match and you throw it on that house, that entire house comes down. Why? Because there's just so much wood everywhere. When you build in Ghana, you are assured that a hurricane is not going to pick up that house and relocate it to the north. I'm not kidding. It's funny, but I'm not kidding. That house is built with cement, and assuming you are building it the right way, that cement is strong and you have an asset. That's what I call an asset. But ultimately, the decision really lies in your hands. How much do you have saved? What level of stress are you willing to take? And who do you know that can help you in this process of acquiring a land, finding, somewhere to build, finding sellers, finding builders? Who do you know? There's so much that goes into building. You really do need to figure out where you are in life, what works for you, and what path will be best for you. So knowing everything you know about building, would you build? Would you buy? Leave a comment. Let me know. I would really, really love to have some kind of a conversation going on to see what people are really feeling, leaning towards based on the little data and knowledge that they have. Yeah, let's get some conversation going. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, be sure to leave me a comment. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them below and I will do my best to answer them. Listen, I am not an expert. I'm just speaking based on my experience. And thank you for tuning in once more. I really appreciate my community. Thank you guys for the support. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit the subscription button right below. And hey, be kind and listen. Listen to one another because it makes a whole lot of difference. Be safe out there.